If you like pan dulce, then my conchas recipe is for you. Pillowy soft, perfectly sweet. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. First off, I warmed 3/4 of a cup of milk to 110 degrees Fahrenheit. You can add this directly to your mixing bowl, but it's a cold day, so I'm gonna warm this up with some warm water before I do that so I maintain that nice cozy temperature. Now, to our warmed mixing bowl, I'm adding my warm milk. This recipe calls for 1/2 cup of sugar, so I'm gonna use half of that right now. It's gonna be like a very fun time for the yeast. I'm also using 1 package of yeast. You could use instant or fast acting, either is gonna work really well here. In you go. Give that a quick mix and then set aside until it is nice and frothy. While my yeast warms up, I'm gonna measure out 4.5 cups or 540 grams of flour. This is gonna be divided. I'm not dumping it in all at the same time, so I'm gonna measure it in a separate bowl. This recipe has 1 teaspoon of salt, so I can add that in right now. Give that a little bit of mix, and we can set this aside. Once your yeast is all nice and frothy, and it might take a little longer than you expect just because this is a very enriched dough. I'm gonna add in my 3 eggs right now, so just plop those in, 1, 2, 3, along with the remaining sugar. That's the rest of the 1/2 cup. And now for the magical ingredient in this, a nice vanilla. These are Mexican, so I'm using a Mexican vanilla for this. It smells amazing. And just add that right in. Now we're gonna give this a good whisk. And here's the secret for making dough the easy way. Instead of just popping this onto your mixer, you're gonna add half the flour in right now and whisk it into like a nice paste. So it's gonna look very like thick, runny batter, if that makes sense. Get it nice and smooth. And we're gonna add in about 2 cups of flour. This gives you a really nice head start. You're just gonna see the batter come together so well. I say batter, but it's a dough. There we go. Look at that. That is nice, and I wish you could smell this. Now we're gonna pop this onto our mixer, get that dough hook out. I almost forgot to add the melted butter. This has 1/2 cup of melted butter in it, so get that dough hook off. And we're gonna pour this in and whisk it up. I knew something was missing. There. And if you bake a lot, this looks like choux pastry right now. It looks so nice. It's falling off, it's really silky smooth. Now we can add the flour in. So add the remaining flour in, pop that dough hook on. This is gonna come together, start off on low, then increase to medium, and you'll be mixing for a few minutes. I'll show you what it should look like. This step is optional, but if you see it's kind of like clinging to the bowl a bit, you can just sprinkle a teaspoon of flour just on the edge and it'll help it like not stick. This dough is done, and I can tell because it's sticky, kind of tacky, but it's not sticking to my finger, and it has a nice bounce to it. We do not need to knead this dough. All the kneading happened right here. Get a big bowl and lightly oil it. You just want a little bit so the dough doesn't stick too much. Get it all up the sides because this will be rising. Now we're gonna transfer our dough into this oiled bowl, and it's gonna rest and rise in a warm, cozy place for a while. I told you this dough is kind of special. It does take more time than just pizza dough, for example, but it is so much more delicious. Here we go. Cover this up with plastic. This is gonna go into a warm, cozy place for about 2 hours, maybe even 2.5. That seems kind of like crazy long, but this dough is pure magic and it deserves the time. While the dough is rising, we can make the topping. It's super easy. 1 cup of powdered sugar with 1 cup of flour, 1/2 cup of very soft butter to this. In you go. The flavor is coming from 1 whole tablespoon of this vanilla. It's gonna be so good. That's a lot of vanilla, but this is like, it's gonna take it over the top into like the land of perfection. I'm gonna use a spatula and then my clean hand to mix this up. Once it's kind of mixed up, I'm just gonna switch to my hand because it's so much easier. You're going to work it together into a paste, and you'll see it comes together in like a really nice dough. Like already, look at that, it's coming together. Today I'm just gonna make vanilla because I love it, but you could add cinnamon, you could add maybe a tablespoon of cocoa powder to this if you want it to be chocolate. It's really up to you what flavors you want. Mine are all gonna be vanilla, but I will be dividing this into 2 batches. One is gonna be pink, and the other one is gonna be a plain white color. Adding 1 drop of pink food coloring in for the pink. This time I am gonna use my spatula just because I don't want pink hands. This is basically like a streusel topping that you're just working to death until it becomes a malleable paste. And you can see as you work it, it really forms up more nicely. My pink is ready to go. That vanilla is already set, so we're gonna take our dough out right now and divide it up. This dough rose up. It took its time, if I want to be honest, as 3 hours for it to get big. I'm gonna lightly flour the surface of my cutting board and dump the dough out. It actually releases very slowly. Takes its time. Divide it in half. I'm using, what is this called? A bench scraper. To roll these, I don't want any flour on my surface, so we're gonna set that floured cutting board aside. Looks kind of like bleh right now, so just kind of pinch it together so it looks like there's an ugly side and a beautiful side. And now we're going to use your thumb and your middle finger to make a small circle and then just roll it into shape. Roll it. And now it looks like that. It's like a nice little bun. Sometimes when I make a recipe on the blog and I'm really excited about it, I'll call my mom and say like, you have to make this. And I'll like explain the whole story about it. So I called her right after I made this and published it. And I said, you have to make this. I wonder if she's made it yet.
Hi, sweet.
Hi. So guess what I'm making today? It's the recipe that I called and said I was so excited about.
The dolmades?
No.
Oh, the pan dulce?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Did you make it yet?
No,
Oh.
no, no. I love, yeah, I know. I love when George tasted the banana bread. That was so fabulous.
I thought it was so cute too. Maybe they should make an appearance in this video too at the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on the roof right now.
Oh boy, okay. Well, I love you. Be careful.
Love you, sweet.
Bye. There's a leak. She's fixing the roof. All right, so place your rolls on a baking sheet. You want to give them some space because there's a second rise. They're going to get a little bit bigger. And you can do this on 2 baking sheets if you want. There's no need to crowd them out. Now I'm going to divide my pink and my white topping into 6 batches each. Okay, so take this and you can either use a tortilla press, I don't have one, or you can pretend like you're making a tortilla by hand. Use the palms of your hand to get a nice thin layer of this. Try and get it to be mostly circular, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And then you're just gonna drape it across your bun. Repeat that with the rest of your topping, and it works the same way for all the different colors. Now it's time for the fun part, to carve into your concha and to make the shapes. I think the easiest is to do a grid shape. So get a sharp knife. I'm actually using a utility blade. And we're just going to carve across the top. These are supposed to be kind of cracked and rustic, so don't worry if it doesn't look perfect. That's totally fine. And now as this rises, it kind of gives the concha room to rise so it can pull apart and not be constricted by that top. Now for the concha shape, what you're basically just drawing is a shell. So you can do a little semicircle on one end, just a small one, and then do radiating curved lines from that semicircle. Some people go all out and they do like heart patterns and whatever else, but I like these 2 classic shapes the most. All right, my patterns are all etched in there. I'm gonna cover this with plastic very loosely, very loosely. You don't wanna constrict the rise. And then we're just gonna let this rise up in a warm and cozy place for 30 to 40 minutes or so. And in the meantime, you can preheat your oven to 350. After about 30 minutes, they did double in size. They've been in a very warm, cozy place though, my proofing drawer. These are gonna go into my preheated oven, 350 for 18 to 20 minutes or until they're golden brown on the very edge and it's a light golden brown. Don't overbake them. In you go. Would you like some pan dulce?
Yes.
Smell it. Tell them how it smells.
It smells good.
Oh, should we have a bite together?
Yes.
Okay, 1, 2, 3. If you like this video, check out my bread playlist. Can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Say, I'll see you in the next video.
I'll see you in the next video.